So far, Prothall's had a pretty good run. We've killed a few monsters, made it to level 3, we went on our first quest, we found a free longsword in the dump, we even begged somebody for some coins. But what happens when things don't go as planned? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Character deaths and CRing or corpse retrieval. Now, I know I've mentioned this before, but it's more than likely that at some point your character will die. Whether it's at the hands of another player, you picking a fight with a monster that's too high a level, or not reading room descriptions and walking into a death trap. Those are just 3 of the many ways to die in Arctic. So, what exactly happens to your character when you do die? Well, the good news is that it's not permanent. The bad news is that there is a downside. So if you go ahead and type help death, that's going to show you exactly what happens. And I'm not going to read this word for word, I'm just going to summarize. But basically, when your character dies, what's going to always happen is you will lose a percentage of your experience points. Now, the rough numbers are to take however many experience points you need from the beginning of level to the next level. If you divide that number by 3, that's roughly how much experience you'll lose. But that's not always the case, because as you get higher level, there's more experience points between levels and you actually lose less experience points. But regardless of how you die, you will lose experience points. So if you're killed by a monster, lost experience. Killed by a player, lost experience points. You get the idea. Now, depending on how you die, you may also lose rank percentages. I think as long as you're killed by a player, you don't lose any rank. But if you are killed by a monster or a mob, you will lose rank percentage if you have any. Now, you don't have to worry about that until you get some levels under your belt and start killing what I call boss monsters. You'll see this percentage start ticking up. But that is also another side effect of character death. The other downside is depending on how much experience points you need to level, you might actually de-level. So Prothall is level 3 currently, and I think we just recently leveled, so I'm not that much experience points into level 3. So if I were to die, there's a good chance that Prothall would go back down to level 2, and then what would happen is my hit points that I gained from going to level 2 to level 3 would be reduced. Now, the good news is all I got to do is kill a few monsters, get back to level 3, and I get back the exact amount of hit points that I had lost. So it's not again a permanent side effect, but it is just something to keep in mind. Now, probably the biggest issue with character deaths is when your character dies, you leave a corpse. Just like when you kill a monster, there's a corpse behind. So when your character dies, there would be a corpse of Prothall laying in the room with all my stuff on it. My coins, my armor, my weapons, it's all there, and it is ripe for the picking. So basically, when your character dies, you are hightailing it back to your corpse as quick as you can to hopefully get everything back before another player walks by and says, hey, look at all these shiny things. Or depending on the mob that killed you, the mobs themselves could even take things off your corpse, and then you have to kill them all anyways to try to get all your stuff back. So that's where the CRing comes in. Hopefully you're with some party members, and if you die, they can just pick up your corpse and haul it back to town. Otherwise, you got to run back and get it yourself. So let's actually, if we go ahead and type score here, let's actually do something. You can see that Prothall has never died. Well, let's go ahead and fix that. Before we do that, I just want to show you something that I didn't cover in the options video. Now, I wouldn't actually recommend playing with this enabled until you once you get the hang of things, because you want to be in charge of what your character is doing. But if we just go ahead and type help options, there is an option called, let's do that again, help options, right here, Wimpy. So you type in option Wimpy and then a number, and what that is a percentage, and if your character falls below that percentage, they will automatically flee. So that can be nice when you're first starting out as kind of a fail-safe to hopefully get you out of trouble if you aren't paying attention or you forget how to type flee. I don't know what the issue is, but there's a chance it could save your life. Now, the reason you don't want it at higher levels is, let's say, just one example, let's say that I'm tanking, right, and I have option Wimpy on, so I'm getting beat up, which is what happens when you're a tank, and I get hit super hard. The cleric is about to heal me, but I flee out of the room. All right, so now chaos is ensuing because I just fleed out of the room. The monster's hitting, who knows, could be hitting the cleric, and you just don't want that to happen. So again, probably don't want to use Wimpy when you get higher levels, but it's something that we're going to try out right now. So if I go ahead and just type in option Wimpy, And I'm going to type, I think 30 is the lowest you can go. Let's put it at 30. Let's actually see. I'll try 31. Yeah, so once we hit 30%, or we've taken 30%, how does that work? How do I word this? Once we have lost 70% of our hit points and we only have 30% left, we should automatically flee. Let's go ahead and test this out. So if I go east, this mean bully is going to kick the crap out of us. And he's making pretty quick work of us. He just kicked me there. I don't remember if he bashes or not. Hopefully he doesn't. Otherwise we might just die, and so much for option Wimpy. So we're getting pretty low now. Down in the 20s, we're at very bad. There we go. So Wimpy mode has been activated. So we automatically fled out of the room. So it saved our life in this instance. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Option Wimpy 0 to turn off that. Let's go back in though and see what happens when we die. So miss. I don't think I've hit him yet. Oh, there we go. I actually got a hit in. We'll talk about this in another video. Player wipes, because that is coming up. Alright, hurry up and knock me down here, bully. Actually, oh, that works. Alright, so, just like that, we are dead. So you always, when you're walking along and you see this pop out of nowhere, that usually means you hit a death trap and your heart just kind of like sinks in your chest. So anyways, once this happens, now we need to get back to our corpse as quick as we can to make sure that we can get everything off of it. So go ahead and hit 1 to enter the game. We can see that we are at 1 health. If I type score, it doesn't look like I actually lost a level. So we now have 2,489 experience points to level. We were at 2,069, so it looks like we lost about 400 experience points. We didn't actually lose a level, so that's cool though. Let's go ahead and run our butts back there. Now, a couple of things when you're going to CR. First off, do not just walk. If this, so east of where I'm at right now is where that bully is. Notice I have 1 hit point. He attacked me when I walked in there. If I just walk in there now, I'm probably going to die again. What we're going to want to do is at least get some hit points back. Let's go ahead and rest here a tick or so we can get some hit points back. So that way when we walk in, we don't automatically die. The other thing is I am a human. So let's go ahead and just type time. It is 3 o'clock p.m. right now, so it's not going to be dark. I think it gets dark at 8 or 9 p.m. So we're still good. I'll still be able to see the corpse on the ground when I go back into the room. Those are just a couple of things to think about when you're running back to get your corpse. The other thing that you might need to do is you don't have any of your, if I go ahead and type EQ right now, I'm not using anything. Now I'm officially running around naked. If I type I got nothing in my inventory, so we got nothing to our name currently. We got to get our corpse back. What I'll usually do, depending on where I died at, is I'll run to the bank, I'll withdraw coins, I'll buy a recall scroll, I'll go, if I'm a tank, I'll go and buy a couple of long swords. If I'm a spellcaster, I got to get at least some spells back. So you got to do a little bit of prep work before you run back to try to get your corpse. But let's go ahead and I'm going to go east, and I'm going to chain these just so I can hopefully, he shouldn't be able to kill us with 62 hit points, but just to make sure, I'm going to go east, I'm going to type get all to get the corpse, and then we'll go ahead and type flee. And that's how you chain commands in JMC. Alright, so everything worked except for the flee didn't actually work right away. So I went east, I got my corpse. Let's just go ahead and scroll up. Where's it at? There we go. So I went east, the corpse of Prothall is lying here. I got the corpse, so I get the corpse of Prothall, and then we fled out of the room. So if I actually hit I now, we can see that I am carrying the corpse of Prothall. And if I type exam corpse, just like if I had killed a small spider or some other monster, same commands, exam corpse to see what's in it. I can see all of my armor and equipment on the corpse. So to get that, all I got to do is just type get all corpse. Now we've looted everything. Sometimes you may need to get all corpse, wear your armor, wield your weapons, and then there might be more on your corpse depending on how much you were carrying. But if we just go ahead and type exam corpse again, we can see that it is in fact empty. So we can just go ahead and drop ourselves. No sense in carrying a body of ourselves around. And let's go ahead and just type wear all, and we'll type wield sword. There we go. And there also is you notice how it took a little bit of time for me to actually wield my sword from when I typed it in and it actually happened. Some equipment will have a little bit of a delay on it when you wear it. So another thing to keep in mind, if you run into the room, get all, wear all, depending on how hard that monster hits, you might die again from a little bit of lag while you're putting your gear back on. So it's better to put your stuff back on when you're not in the room or not in danger. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so we now have, looks like we got all of our stuff back. We didn't lose a level, so I think that is probably about it. You've now seen, hopefully your character, if you're playing, hasn't died before. You now know at least what it looks like, and you have some ideas on what happens and what's going to happen to your corpse and your items. Now, if I hadn't ran back and got my corpse, what would happen here is eventually the corpse of Prothall would decay, and then all my stuff would be laying on the ground, and then there's even higher chances that the monster that's in the room will just start picking stuff up off the ground, or that somebody will walk by and grab it. So that's what happens if you don't go back.